it left so many things like as a mysterious thing, like building up to like what could it be? There were
Yeah,
so many plot points that needed to be answered.
right.
Once they started answering them, you're like, oh, this is what I wanted to see. But
Yeah. Hello, hello. Please come in. There's some fresh cookies in the cookie jar. There's a pitcher of Kool-Aid on the counter. Have a seat. We'll put a movie on for you. This is Movies at Grandma's House, where we look at the movies from the past, and in some cases, the present, to see if they're still good with our modern eyes and have Grandma's approval. I'm your host, Isaac. Smooth, strong, easy on the eye, and that is just the boat. And who's joining me for part 3 of Paddington in Peru?
this is Seth. Bear, gold, stew.
It is fantastic to see you, Seth. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. I'm so excited to do this one today.
100% agreement. It has been a journey to go through these films with Paddington, and the third is, as of this recording, in theaters. We got to see it. We're going to bring you the scoop on what our thoughts are. So we're so excited, but there's been so much going on, Seth. I don't even know where to begin. My head is going to explode from all the stuff. If you're watching us, you might listen to us on wherever you get your podcasts. But if you're watching, yes, I've done a little decorating. I'm very proud of this. I don't like to brag on stuff, but this is one thing I'm very happy about. Huge shout out to movieposters.com. You see, I've got these beauties up behind me, and I love just having them here. I'd rather people be looking at some awesome posters than my face. So this is just fantastic. I love it. We talked about Sandlot. That's a special movie to you and me, Seth. So I'm so honored to have that up there. Rescuers Down Under. I've got so much I could go on about that, and that's a fun episode too that we talk about. But that's a special movie to me. What's so cool about this poster though is once I got it, I realized this is the original poster, meaning it was in theaters back in the 90s. And do you remember, Seth, the double-sided posters? Like they put them in the display and you could kind of see this is a double-sided poster.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I was just like, ooh, this is so cool. And I can tell you, I have a core memory of seeing this exact poster in a movie theater. I can't tell you what movie we were seeing. I was so small, but again, it triggers so much nostalgia just looking at it on my wall. So I'm a little giddy here. I mean, I could go on and on, but I'm going to stop there. Just huge shout out to movieposters.com. Go check them out. They're wonderful people. They are sponsoring us this month. We'll talk more about that, but there is a contest we're going to be doing. So make sure you get your entry in for that. It's going to be for $25. So if you like these kind of posters that you see behind me, you can get your own and you get a chance to get $25. That's just so awesome. Big thank you to them. And yeah, we got to see Paddington. How was your experience, just real quick, going to seeing it in theaters?
Well, it's always something when you see something early. So it was a lot of fun. I can't wait to get into it. I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, I walked in and there's a short up on YouTube. Go check it out. I just did a quick recording, but I had to get this. They had a little Paddington Beanie Baby, and I don't know. Maybe this is something I want to keep it for myself, but this might be something that we give away too. Comment below if this is something that you're like, I want that. We'll tell us. Maybe we'll make this a giveaway. We're all about giveaways this month. We're just wanting to give back to you, the listener. So lots of exciting stuff, and also this tin. I had to get my popcorn tin as well. I'm just so out of touch because I have not been to movies in so long. As much as we talk about movies, we're talking about older ones. There's just so much cool stuff at movie theaters. So I recommend if you haven't been to movie theater, maybe it's time to revisit and just go have some fun because I had a blast. That's all I'm going to say, and we'll get into it. Like you said, Seth, I don't want to spoil it, but can you tell we're excited? We had such a good time going to the movies today. We got to see it today, and as of this recording, we want to make sure we got a fresh take of it. But before we get into it, this is your proper spoiler warning. So, yes, we are going to get into some spoilers. So, if you've not seen this movie, make sure you go see it first. It's in theaters, like we mentioned. Go have a fun time, like we did, and then come on back and enjoy this review we're going to have. And also, if you like what you're hearing, make sure you smash that like and smash that subscribe, the notify bell, all that good stuff. So, you'll be following all things movies at Grandma's house. But let's get down to it. Again, don't want to delay anymore. We are going to consider the movie Paddington in Peru, or how I like to say, Paddington 3. So, since this is out in theaters, it's a little different, but we have a little bit of information on it. Multiple release dates. It was actually released in the United Kingdom back in November. I'm seeing November 8th, 2024. It's going to be, let's see, it came out February 5th in France, February 14th for the US, and Japan, I see a May 9th. So a much bigger delay for Japan, it looks like. The budget for this film is actually a little bit more than the past Paddington movies we've covered. It is 90 million. And as of this recording, I'm seeing a box office of 104 million. So they've already got past their budget as far as we know so far. And looking at reviews, we kind of see a little bit, I'm seeing a little bit mixed. And I think going back to the release dates, I think it's proper to let it run its course before you really look at these reviews. So I'm not going to mention any of them. And we'll get down to obviously those later on in the episode. But with this being fresh, still in theaters, don't really have first memories, but we do have some expectations. So, Seth, I'm interested. When it came to this movie, what were some of your expectations?
So honestly, I thought please have a glimmer or even a twinkle of the light that the first two had. Also keep in mind this is a new director as well. So I had high hopes, but I tried to manage them somewhat because I didn't know exactly what path they were going to go down for this movie.
That's true. I didn't realize with the director. That's a good point, and that'll be something maybe we talk about more with all the cast and everything like that too. But with my expectations, I mean, I was along the same lines. I didn't want to build it up too much. The first two we reviewed and we both just were very charmed by. That's what I was hoping for, getting that same charm to continue on. I was trying not to hype myself up too much. Like I said, I did kind of get some of this Paddington stuff, so I was like, oh, I hope I'm not setting the bar too high. But I just wanted to have a fun time. That was kind of my expectations going into it. So before we get into our plot rewind, we're going to pause for just a moment to hear a word from our sponsors. Love movies as much as we do? Bring the experience of the big screen to your walls with movieposters.com. Whether you're into classics, blockbusters, or indie gems, they've got something for every film fanatic. As a listener of our podcast, you can get 15% off your order now. Just use code Grandma's House 15 at checkout. Head to movieposters.com and let's build your ultimate collection today. All right. So, since this is still in the theaters, we're actually, until it comes out on streaming or where you can buy it on DVD and Blu-ray, we're going to actually go to the movie theater. We're going to sit down and we're going to enjoy the show.
Paddington returns to Peru to visit Aunt Lucy with the Brown family all together. An adventure ensues, even going through the jungle. Buy your tickets now, grab some snacks and a drink. Head towards your seat. Paddington's back.
There it is. So I want to know, Seth, when you were watching this movie, what was some first impressions or things that stuck out to you?
So I'm going to steal it. I know that you love to talk about Paddington and the cinematography and everything. I'm going to steal it from you.
Go.
So,
Yeah.
this movie is truly visually stunning. Um, I'll get into that a little bit deeper as we go on, but it. I was more encapsulated by this film, than the other two as far as the visuals.
Mm.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah, and seeing it on the big screen, I highly recommend
Yes.
you gotta see it on the big screen. It's just like you were saying, very visually appealing. Oh my goodness, like, the sights it's in Peru.
Mhm.
Oh, man, I was just loving it. That just even, like, you're talking just the landscape shots of them traveling to Peru. It was great on the big screen. I loved every minute of that. I mean, the again, like you're saying, the CGI is still just astounding to me. Like, they just know how to animate Paddington. It's just so unbelievable to me. I can't stress enough how a movie that for this one, it was a little more than the past, but still only 90 million. You're talking everything.
Mhm.
And they're able to put out that quality of CGI. Paddington looks as good as ever. If not, you can argue a little better, and that might be I'm watching on the big screen. I didn't get to see the other ones, but it's still uh, totally agree with you. It was just so much fun. I was just like, I had my popcorn. I mean, I was just sitting back and like, I'm enjoying this so much. It's just visually, it's eye candy. It really was.
If I can say something, I
Yeah,
felt like a kid again. I mean, I the Paddington movies are special to me, but being able to see this on the big screen was something otherworldly. Like, I just I don't know, there was something special about it. I and like you said with the visuals, I think seeing it in a big atmosphere, a big screen, made a big difference than just my TV. So, that was something special. That like you said, I highly recommend if you get a chance, go see this in theaters.
yeah, I think so. It's if you saw the first 2, it does it justice for sure. They didn't take a step back by any means. It just felt like a great continuation on the visuals. The characters return. I mean, I don't know if that's what else kinda stuck out to you, as far as impressions, but I think that's one that I definitely noticed as well, the characters. What'd you think of them?
The characters what characters? I mean, there are so many characters in this movie, like, so outrageous and funny and charming and, um, I have to say, and I know you're gonna say it too, Antonio Banderas nearly stole the show.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even really remember that he was in it. Like, I think I saw a trailer and had forgotten, and when I saw it, and I was like, "Whoa!" So, yeah, it was really, really well done. There's so many, I the family in general is a lot of fun, the Browns, and, there's so many new characters as well, so it's it's almost overwhelming what they introduced in this movie.
Yeah. This was definitely a fun take. The past 2 were in, the hometown, eh, with the Browns and there. This just kinda jumps right off and says, "No, Paddington, you need to go to Peru. Aunt Lucy is gone. She wants to see you," and then she goes missing, and then it becomes this adventure trying to find her, and it's this lost city, El Dorado, that famous legendary city is tied to it. So that's kind of the premise and the plot. And like you said, the characters, you're introduced to that's kind of the scene stealers, Antonio Banderas. Um, I really liked him. I don't want to compare to the other 2. I hate to do that. I don't want to. But I would say I'd probably still like Hugh Grant. There's something about Hugh Grant's character, like his just was I don't know, it really gelled with Paddington. And not that Antonio Banderas didn't,
Yeah.
but that's hard to top Hugh Grant. Let's just be honest. Like that was hard to top. But man, Antonio Banderas is so much fun. It was just like he's a fun addition, like you said. He's got this, like whatever, multiple personalities going on where he's seeing his relatives and he's obsessed with gold. That's the whole premise with the El Dorado is finding a city and he has this boat. It's a great time. He's a great character. Yeah, I agree. And uh, you know, the you get to see a lot more of the bears. What'd you think about like the bears? There was a lot more of that.
Well, I feel and I'm not trying to say, like, this is better than the other 2, and I will get into that later, but as far as, like, keeping up with the other 2, I felt like that was kind of a missing thing from the other movies. Like, they didn't go into his background that much,
Yeah,
and I felt like this was the perfect time to do it, and they did it well.
yeah. That's what you're gonna appreciate about this movie is if you're like, Paddington, what's his background? This is a very much origin story in a way. It tells, about his time in Peru and where's his family, rest of his family, Aunt Lucy and such is his family, but you kind of, if you're wondering, this does answer that. That's what I do appreciate about the plot of this movie. It goes into that, and again, it's an adventure. It's just an adventure to go to Peru, into the jungle, and the thing is, we saw this in the theaters, so we're still with the fresh take. But there's also so many quotes. Um, Man, I was chuckling though. What'd you think about the writing or the dialogue and that sort of thing?
Very clever, and it was clever in points that you didn't think it was gonna be clever, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. It was very surprising. All the jokes I was not really expecting. It just landed well with me especially. I thought that the writing was very strong. Um, I'll get more into that too.
go ahead and go for it. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Yeah,
Uh, as a wrap up, I kinda was gonna talk about that, but I mean, I can I don't know. I feel like some of the movie kinda dragged a little. Maybe you mentioned that a little bit, just a little bit, and then it really hit you and then kept growing in momentum. So I like that. That kinda came out of nowhere. I was like, "Whoa, it could grab my attention back." And it kept it. And so that was nice. And, yeah, the writing was very clever. Um, I didn't see who wrote the movie, if it was the same writers as the others, but, changing the director was an interesting thing, and because the first 2 were so good in my opinion, didn't know what to expect, but,
yeah.
it had its own vibe, and it was really a good one. And like I said with the cinematography, it just blended so well with the storyline. I didn't mind them changing directors.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, as far as any like negatives, I think it did have a little bit of a pacing thing going on. It wasn't as smooth as the first two, I would say. That's something I think we even said about the first two is it has a nice smooth way about it. I don't think I got that as much with this one. I don't think it was bad. I'm not trying to say that, but I do think I noticed it more. I was noticing a little bit of that lag you're talking about, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, it moves fast. It's not like, "Oh, this is dragging on," and
Yeah.
there's just something about it. I can't put my finger on it. It was just something was a little bit off. I don't know if maybe it was moving too fast or maybe it wasn't addressing things as well as it did in the second half. Maybe that's what it was. Because I think I agree with you, the second half is the stronger part of this film. Um, it's just kind of "Hey, Lucy's missing, let's go look for her." Maybe that's the whole premise is it's just like, let's go, 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 but once I think the thing I noticed was, um, Antonio Banderas, Hunter is his character's name. So he has a boat, but his daughter warns him about the sail swinging around and hitting him. So at one point, he's so obsessed with his gold that his daughter's like, "No, you need to turn around because this is too much." And it looks like he's gonna listen to her, but he leaves her on the bank and it's like, "Sorry, honey, I gotta get this gold." Well, I thought that was hilarious. The bow swings over and she's not there to warn him, so he gets knocked off of
Yeah.
the boat. I think from there, that's where it really takes off. Did you get that feeling?
So if I could just add real quick, I think what might have been the problem with the first few minutes, like I don't know, few minutes, few segments of the movie, is that they left so many things like as a mysterious thing, like building up to like what could it be? There were
Yeah,
so many plot points that needed to be answered.
right.
Once they started answering them, you're like, "Oh, this is what I wanted to see."
Yeah,
But until they got to that point, it was like, "What's going on?" Like there's too much for me to take in right now. So I think that might have been like the downfall, if I could say, of the movie. Um, and I'm not trying to be negative at all about it because it was a good movie, and we'll get
Yeah,
more to that later. I've been saying that a lot.
yeah, yeah. I don't take it as a negative. If I say something, it seems like it. I think this is a great movie. Just put it out there. It continues on what the first two set out to do. It just takes a different route of, hey, let's focus more on Paddington and Peru, his beginnings. And I really love that they went with that approach. I just yeah, I agree with you. I think maybe the flow, the pacing, I don't know if that's because the director. I'm not gonna blame him for that. I can't put my finger on it. And this is after one viewing, so maybe coming back to it, there'll be a different approach and be like, "Oh, okay." But that was just the feeling I got. I think I agree with you. It's just kind of that mystery part of it, and that can be fine, but I think with so much going on, it was almost an overload maybe at times. Maybe that's what you were getting at, and I agree with you because it was just kinda like, "We gotta go, go, go," and that makes sense, if your Aunt Lucy's missing, you're gonna wanna go, go, go. I wanna find my
And on
Aunt Lucy.
top of that, I feel like there's a lot of characters, and so you're like, well, what is this character gonna add, or what is this character doing?" And they kinda jump from character to character in this movie, so it's a lot of, well, what's coming next? Because they've set this up, how are they gonna answer that later? And it makes you think a little bit, which I didn't really. I mean, I don't wanna sound harsh, but I didn't really do in the first 2 movies. I just enjoyed the ride. I didn't have to, like, put my brain into it or anything, but this one you kinda do a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more involved, right, I agree with that compared to the first 2, um, but it's still a fun ride. That's a great way of putting it. It's a fun journey, and it's an adventure. It's going down in Peru. Um, I think I agree with you. The other thing that kinda stands out to me is the cinematography. It's just beautiful the way it's shot. I don't think I noticed quite as much, and I can't really just say that with justice, like, I feel certain. I think it's gonna need another rewatch, but I don't know if I got as much of the cinematography of the little subtle hits. I think I was probably just distracted by other stuff, and because that's the one thing I loved about the first 2. There's just really little like, you could blink and miss them,
Mm.
but I happen to catch them, and I love it. It adds to it. I don't think they changed it. I maybe just didn't notice it as much. So maybe that's just my ADD mind not paying attention as well, and I missed it this time around. But overall, yeah. What else can you say? It's just a great sequel to the series that we considered. Um, what else that just kind of comes to your mind? It sticks out, or fun facts, or those types of things.
Well, I what I failed to mention was is that the kids are all grown up, so
Yeah,
that's an interesting take because you're in the other 2, you're watching the kids as kids, and now they're, like, getting to adulthood, and it was kind of. I like the way they did it. It wasn't too much, it didn't draw away from the film, it added to it. I'm laughing because you took all my notes.
didn't mean to.
No, you're fine, you're fine. Like, just as a reference, I was gonna say spoiler, that I love the second half of the movie more than the first half, and we talked about that and why. And then the cinematography is breathtaking. There were a few scenes that were that little bit like you're talking about, where they did these little things, and I didn't catch them as much in this movie, probably because they were like the budget was more focused on the panoramic shots and things. Um, but it was really nice, and I thought it made for a really good adventure and a good journey.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, just like you're saying, you're saying everything I've written down.
I mean, that's the feeling. I think we kinda had a similar a feeling on the pros and cons of it. It's again, it's an experience. Go see it in the theater. I would recommend that. I think we both would say that, and come to your own decision. If you've seen the first 2, I don't know why you would wanna skip out on this one. It's kinda that nice continuation that goes along with it. But there's so many quotes too in this one.
Yeah.
It seems like we say that a lot about movies, but I like to pay attention to when a movie has good quotes in it. And this one has a good amount. You go back to Antonio Banderas, he's kind of the quote generator, if you want to call him that. It feels like the dad, Mr. Brown, he was kind of a mix on the quotes. I don't think he had as many quotes. He had a few of them. I can't again recall them all. That's the only problem
Yeah.
with seeing it fresh in the theaters. But there might have been like a few steps back here and there, but it wasn't major. If that makes sense in some ways like that. But you're still gonna have a great time. There's a great experience to be had with this movie. So, anything else or any other points to throw in before we get to the reviews?
Believe it or not, I caught a couple fun facts.
All right.
Emily Mortimer replaced Sally Hawkins, who played Mary Brown in the first two movies.
Mm,
I'm a huge fan of both of them, so I don't mind. I know a lot of people are gonna. I read a lot of there were things on the internet about how they couldn't stand how they changed some of the cast, and I was like, "Well, that wasn't a bad choice." So I'm glad they got her in there. Love her. Love Sally as well. Sally's a great actress. Another fun fact is it was filmed in Peru as well as Colombia and the UK. So they
okay.
went hopping over like the other movies did as well. So it held up as far as the shots. I was very impressed.
Yeah, I noticed those just again, those landscape shots were just awesome. Great to see on the big screen. I mean, the movie making anymore, you're just gonna be blown away. I think I saw this was actually available in IMAX. I wonder what it would look like in IMAX. Yeah.
Wow.
So that would be interesting. Normally, movies like this don't get the IMAX treatment. It's those big blockbuster ones. But I thought I saw at certain theaters nearby where
Wow.
I'm at. So I kind of missed on that. I didn't get to see it in IMAX, but I don't know. It makes me wonder if I should go back and watch it and see it in IMAX. It'd be an experience, I'm sure. So, but yeah, that was a good point too about the recasting. I did notice that about the mother. I was like, "Oh, they got, a different actress." I don't think you missed too much. I mean, that's not being disrespectful
Right.
or anything, but it just shows they did a good job on casting like you said. They did a good job replacing. I didn't have a problem. I could maybe see that people have an issue with it, but I think it all works out. Yeah.
Yeah.
No problems there. So, again, this is still out in theaters, but we do have some reviews. So, Seth, what kind of reviews you seeing out there?
You're gonna love this. 1930s underscore time underscore machine said, but nothing could be as good as the first two. 7 out of 10.
Okay, that's respectable, and that's a good 7 out of 10. So, bravo. You're right. I did like that one.
Aster Leaf says a different flavor, but just as enjoyable. 7 out of 10.
Okay, 7 out of 10. And 7 out of 10 is not bad at all. So that's a good rating.
All right, this one, hold, brace yourself.
Okay, I'm bracing.
Do not come to the cinema depressed. Said
Ooh,
an enjoyable ride at the cinema. 8 out of 10.
so they said don't come to the cinema.
That's their name.
Oh, that's their name.
Do not come to the cinema depressed. Do not come to the cinema depressed. I love it.
That might be one of my favorites. That's a
I
great
love
one.
that one. I had to use that one.
That is a good one. Bravo. Bravo to all the people with your names. All of them were good, but that one I especially liked. That one was really good. Okay, so there you have it. Those are good ratings. Some people again might look at 6 or 7s, whatever, but yeah, 7 to us, we feel that's a strong rating. So that kind of gives you an idea what we're seeing out there so far. So let's get down to our reviews. So let's start with you, Seth. I have to ask you for Paddington in Peru, how are you going to rate it? Are you going to take it home? Are you going to leave it at grandma's? Are you going to hide it in the attic?
I'm gonna sound like a broken record with these Paddington movies. I have to take this home. For me, it was an adventure and a ride that was certainly worth taking.
Okay. I'm gonna buck the trend a little bit. So don't hate on me. So here's my thoughts. I'll explain a little bit. I'll keep it short and sweet. I was on the fence, so I was very close because I loved going, "This is a great movie. Go see this movie." If it's in theaters and you can see it on IMAX, go see it. I do think just the flow, the pacing, it kinda threw me off a little bit, and I don't like to compare it to the first 2 because I think as its own standalone movie, it really could be a take it home in my book. But just an overall sense, I think I'm gonna leave this at grandma's. I'm gonna look forward to going back to this one. This is actually what I would call one of those grandma, I want this to be at grandma's house. So when we go to visit, "Ooh, let's watch Paddington in Peru." So it's no disrespect. I think it is a little bit less compared to the 2, but that's not why I rated it that way. I didn't wanna make it sound like I compared. But, just maybe the pacing, maybe that flow, maybe if I watch it again, I'll change my mind, but just that's my impression of it right now. I still highly recommend it. This was such a great movie. Great time. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna have you brought out there's some emotional scenes. There's some touching moments
Mm.
of Paddington, him being little, and it's great. I mean, I loved it. Just that's the feeling I get. I think it's a very strong rating that I would give it, and I can't wait to, again, go back and watch it. It's gonna be a fun time. I forgot to mention I didn't get to watch this with my kids, so just didn't work out this time. So I am looking forward to it. I wanna go back and watch it with my kids. I wanna see what their thought is, so that's what I would encourage, take the kids. There is something new we want to introduce to the podcast. This is a special thing that we're going to do. We call it what, Seth? I set you up there, sorry.
Yeah, you caught me off guard.
Sorry.
Well, it's Granny's rating or
Yep,
Grandma's rating.
yes. So we thought, this is grandma's house. Grandma's gotta have a say. So we're calling it Granny's Family Friendly Rating. In terms of, is this content that you would kinda find for the family, not just for the kids, but, for grandma herself or other relatives? Is this kind of a family-friendly movie? So we're gonna start doing that with movies. We wanna kinda give that as a little bit of a heads up for those who are interested. Is this a suitable movie? So, Seth, for Paddington in Peru, how is Granny gonna rate it?
It's a B plus.
B plus. So there you go. Granny gives it the number scale. It's a B plus. Granny might have been a little bit with the emotional scenes. Wouldn't you agree? Was there anything else maybe that would keep it just out of that A rating?
There's a couple of intense scenes in this movie, that I would say is just a little bit, yeah, just off. But overall, it's a very wholesome picture with family friendly.
Yeah, very close. I mean, it's right there. You could almost give it an A minus, but Granny at the end of the day, she said it's going to be a B plus. So that's it. That kinda gives you a little bit of a taste of it if you haven't seen this movie and you just wanna be sure. That's something we're gonna start doing. Whether it's an old movie or newer movies, we thought it would be appropriate to just throw in Granny's rating. So there you go. We're a little excited about that. That's a new little segment rating that we're gonna start doing going forward. So, there it is. We did it. We covered all of the Paddington movies. But before we wrap things up, why don't you tell the good people where they can find us on our social, Seth?
You can find us at YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. You can always email us at movies@grandmashouse@gmail.com. Visit movieposters.com and get 50% off your order, grandma with grandma's using grandma's house 15 at checkout. Well, also, we are on Patreon, so check us out, become a member so you can stay up to date.
There you go. And some people like the QR code. So I'm going to throw that up there real quick. As Seth mentioned, you can go to movieposters.com. But if you want to pull it up, there's the QR code. That code again is Grandma's House 15 to get 15% off. Big shout out to movieposters.com. They've just been awesome. Like I said, I've got this awesome display behind me. And Seth, you are currently in the works on that. Am I correct?
I I am setting up my, whole place here and getting everything set up. Movieposters.com hooked me up as well, so you'll see those soon.
Yeah, can't wait. It's a little tease for you guys. So you got to see mine, but you're going to have to wait for Seth's. little tease going on there. So again, this has just been awesome, guys. I can't say enough of the fun we've been having.
Yeah.
Stay tuned because we do have the contest for this month with movieposters.com. They're giving $25 away to one fan. That's right. You could win. Right now, we're setting it up. If you just comment, you're getting an entry in. We're going to have a setup where you can actually register. And going forward, if you're registered, you'll be entered into all of our contests. Like I mentioned, we want to start having some giveaways. And by doing that, just keep supporting the channel. We appreciate all of you, but continue to support the channel. We want to grow it and we want the prices to be even bigger and more exciting. We think they're awesome. Like, again, I got some awesome posters, $25. You can get your own poster. So if you have one you've been eyeing, they might be able to hook you up too. So keep that in mind. Stay tuned. We're going to have a live recap like we do at the end of the month. So again, make sure you're subscribed so you know the time when we're going to go live. We're going to have the winner revealed on our live. But in the meantime, make sure you comment below. Tell us your thoughts. Are you going to see Paddington? Or if you have seen it, how would you rate it? We'd love to hear from you. And that way you'll get your entry in and you'll be able to be a part of the fun, the contest that we're doing for this month. So stay tuned to all the fun that's coming up. There it is. Once again, that'll wrap things up. But don't worry, we will be back to Grandma's house soon enough. So in the meantime, remember to be kind and rewind. We'll see you next time.